creation, enriching. Okay, lovely. Productive skills with results. Oh, lovely participation. You're so close. Actually, you said it. Okay, I use this word because if there is no effective classroom management inside the class, actually there is no production of any kind. And I'm not exaggerating if I say there is no learning at all. So this is all about application and production in the classroom, first of all. So let me show you our schedule or our plan for today. In this session, we'll define the term productive classroom management, first of all, and then we will go through practical techniques of productive classroom management. And I'm stressing the word practical, so we all can apply these techniques. After that, and finally, we will identify some kinds of disruptive students and how to deal with them. And we will finish the session with questions if you have any. But before I start anything, I want you to contemplate the picture on the top part, top right part. This is a girl enjoying her holiday, and she's on the beach. She's having fun. Put yourself in her shoes. Suddenly, this girl is taken from the beach and she's put inside the classroom. If you were in her shoes, how would you feel? Would it be exciting for you? Awful. Good. True. Punished. Traumatized. Okay, so remember all these words because these words we will have like some practical solutions for these negative feelings, which I agree with. Okay, I have a simple question for you. Let me ask you this simple question. Which classroom is well managed, you think? A totally quiet one or a chaotic one? So we have two choices, A or B. Pick your choice and tell me in the chat box. B, A. I think it depends. Choice A. Okay, let me see you the choices in pictures instead of words. So A looks like this. I see it like this. A totally quiet classroom is like this student in picture A. She's terribly afraid. And I can say if she's not afraid, she'll be asleep. If the classroom is totally quiet, it's gonna be like this. And if it's totally chaotic, it's like number two. So I believe it's neither A nor B, neither one nor two. So what is it? What is a well-managed classroom? As you see, it is the classroom where students feel motivated to work and interact in a safe, fun environment. So tell me about the three key elements for productive management from this definition in the chat box. Three keywords that sum up the whole story of management. Motivation, okay. Safe, excellent, and fun. Lovely. Yeah. These are the three crucial elements that if you find these three elements within your classroom, so your classroom is definitely well managed, motivating your students and creating a safe, fun environment. And take care of the word fun so that we can remember the girl who was playing on the beach. When she comes to a fun environment, she's not traumatized, as we said in the beginning, right? Okay, so after the definition of a well-managed classroom, we will go through some practical techniques, as we said, to achieve the productive management, as we suggested. Okay, this is the first technique, practical technique, okay? As a teacher, we're supposed to set rules and help make them a habit. So actually, these are two rules, not one. Set rules, which is clear. We set rules for anticipated behavior within the classroom, but this is not the end of the story. You have to make these rules a habit. How? How do you think we can make our rules a habit? Can you suggest in the chat box? After setting our rules, how can we make them a habit? Needs to be considered matters. Repetition, lovely. Revise, okay. Praise, repeat every day. Good. Valid points, yes. Never, never tolerate breaking your rules. I'm not saying punish the student, but practice social pressure. If one of the students breaks or violates one of the rules, ask his peers to correct the rule or to tell him about the rule that he just broke. In this way, you're practicing social pressure on the student who violated the rule. In this way, you're making your rules a habit. So again, don't forget, after setting your rule, you have to make these rules a habit. Okay. Still, point 2, related to setting rules. But this time, I suggest that every teacher needs to invite the students to take part in setting the classroom rules and expectations. So as a teacher, we don't just dictate the rules. We don't tell them do this and don't do this, because this will be forgotten, most probably. So how can you invite your students to set or to take part in setting the classroom rules? Can you tell me how? Adding something memorable, okay. Remember them always before we start the lesson. Okay, games. Okay, they must understand the need of rules. That's correct. They must understand why we need rules, first of all. Acceptance from both sides, teachers and students. Valid. A story, maybe an anecdote. Purpose, lovely. Okay. We can use simple questions just to elicit the rules that we want to set. Like, for example, if you want to tell your students that you need the classroom to be clean all the time, instead of telling them keep your classroom clean, you can ask them, guys, if I come and visit you at home, I'll find you home messy or clean. Of course, they will say clean. Okay, so guys, you stay in a clean place because you are civilized people. So am I supposed to expect a dirty classroom, a messy classroom, or a clean classroom? They will come up with the rule. They will say our classroom needs to be clean all the time. Then you show them the rule yourself after they suggested the rule. Why do you think you invite the students to take part in the rules? What's the importance of that? We can clean the class with them. Okay, we can do. Yes, you can start by yourself. They have to be involved. Excellent. Yes. But why should we involve them in setting up the rules? They will be able to relate these rules. Okay, sustainability to save time, better acceptance. That's a valid point. Yeah, better acceptance. So if you invite students to take part in setting the classroom rules, they will have two feelings. First of all, self-esteem. They will feel that they are estimated. Number two, they will have a sense of responsibility to achieve and to follow this rule, which they have just set. You know? Okay. So I believe this is enough for classroom rules, and we move to another point, which is use getting to know you activities. Getting to know you activities. What are getting to know you activities? These are like icebreakers, especially in the beginning of the school year, and the brain teasers like puzzles. Okay. What's the importance of using getting to know you activities? What do you think about them? Let me see your testing the level. Lovely. Get involved in managing the classroom. A warmer with the whole year communication. Breaking barriers. Lovely. Yes, actually, you said all the valid points. You establish the first and the most important element, in my point of view, is establishing a good rapport with the students that will continue through the whole year, and knowing the students' levels and knowing your students themselves and their interests, and vice versa. They know you, they know your style of teaching, and so on. So this is really important. And of course, if you can just write on Google getting to know you activities for classroom, you will get like hundreds of them. So this is really, really important. Let's move to the next advice, which is providing positive feedback. A positive feedback is always, always important. This factor creates a safe, so we need to relate this to the definition of management, safe environment, which is really important. Safe environment. In this environment, students are not afraid of making mistakes. Make mistakes, not a shame. In your classroom, everybody can make a mistake, even us as teachers. We're humans. So I'm not saying that you don't correct the errors. Error correction has so many techniques, and we need to correct errors, but we need to provide a positive feedback for the trial, for the courage to participate. Okay. Yeah, as you say, constructive feedback builds trust and self-confidence. Law, that's valid, that's correct. To build confidence. Okay. So what do you think if you give a negative feedback to a student after a mistake that he made? What do you think he will do after that? Rather than the feeling, the negative feeling that he will have, but demotivate the students. Okay, disobey, maybe withdrawal, that's right, and shame. So he will not be interested to participate in any forthcoming question or activity. He will be afraid of making mistake. He will tell himself, the teacher will embarrass me. So make your feedback always, always positive. Now, let's move to number 5. Attention grabbers. Okay, this is a really important thing. Let me ask you a question, but be honest in the chat box. If you want to attract your students' attention after a task is over, or because they're talking together and you want them to pay attention to you, how do you do this? Honestly, in the chat box. Okay, lovely. 1, 2, 3 eyes in me. Positive feedback. I'm talking about attracting the attention. Jumping jacks. Good. Clap. Whole brain teaching. Okay, lovely. So many people use the attention grabbers already in their classrooms. Okay, what are attention grabbers? Because some teachers keep shouting and yelling at students, which is not effective at all. Instead, we can use attention grabbers. These are like mutual utterances. And the word mutual is important here because students have a role to play. You need to teach these attention grabbers, or one of them at least, to students since the beginning of the year. You will tell your students, okay, guys, once I say, for example, focus, focus, everybody in the classroom should stop any activity they are doing, even if it's a task, even if you're writing or talking on something I assigned. You need to stop and respond saying, everybody focus. And keep practicing this so that you make it a habit, as we said. You set rule, so this is the rule, the attention grabber, and then by repetition and teaching and practice, it's like a habit. So what do you think about this? We have so many examples of attention grabbers, like teacher says focus, focus, students respond, everybody focus, class, they respond saying yes, yes. Waterfall, which is my favorite, they respond saying shh. Okay, what do you think about these attention grabbers? Do you think they are really effective, or you have a better way? Be persistent in using these things. Okay. They are effective, actually. Yeah, effective and fun. And instead of Yeah, we can use a bill, but a bill is not mutual. You know, when you give students a role to play, they have a sense of responsibilities. They need to do something just like you. You say an utterance, they respond. So it's a mutual game here. And you get what you want, which is their their full attention, right? Okay. So now we move to the sixth tip or technique. Right? Okay. Okay, I want you to relate this point to the picture that we saw in the beginning, the girl who was playing on the beach. When she comes and sits in a classroom without any kind of movement, you said, not me, you said she feels traumatized, sad, she will hate her life. Yes, I agree with you. But we need to make use of kinetic activities in order to provide these students or these kids with some kind of fun in the classroom. They don't have to sit still like this and just receive information. No, uh, they can move in an organized way and have fun practicing English at the same time. I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you. Can you clarify the word kinetic to me? What does the word kinetic means? Kinetic activities. Yeah, movement. Lovely. Yes. Yes. So these are activities that require movement in the classroom. Um, you can think of too many games that require movement in the classroom. Like, I'll give you one example which I myself practice in the classroom. And instead of giving the students a sheet of paper that has a list of questions, you can fold this piece of paper and put it inside a balloon. You can blow up the balloon, and you have uh, enough number of balloons for the groups. And you assign group leaders to take the balloon and go back to his group, pop it up, get the paper, unfold it, and then answer. It's the same question, the same task. You're practicing English, but now you change the nature of the activity from just sitting down, taking the paper and writing into a game. This is a game. They're having balloons and moving and popping up the balloons. So, what do you think about kinetic activities? Are they really important or not that important? Yeah, yeah, make them learn by moving. Uh, very effective. Thank you. Really important. Yeah. It's similar to total physical response. Yes, yes, yes. Some questions you can design them to require a total physical response. Yeah, lovely. Actually, try this point in particular. It will make a great difference in your classrooms. It will change your classroom dramatically. Okay. Now let me move to number seven and the seventh tip that we have for classroom management. Let me change this slide. Okay, it's really difficult. Yeah. Allow students to have enough thinking time. When you give any task or any question and you're expecting an answer from the students, you will find, like, for example, two or three students ready to answer. What do you think? You should pick a student at once or you should wait for some time? Okay, wait. Yes. Yeah. Actually, yes, we should wait. We should allow enough thinking time because, as you know, we have individual differences. Our students are not the same. Some students are have like faster processing for questions. They can come up with answers quickly. Other students need some time to think, but they can come up with the answer. So, if you take a quick student or choose a quick student quickly to answer the question, what do you think will happen in your classroom later if you don't allow enough time for everybody to think? What do you think the classroom will be like in the future? Give them limited time before. Yeah, wait and let them think. Lazy, afraid, unresponsive. This is the word. This is the word. Unresponsive. You will lose the slow thinkers or the people who need more time to think. They will not process any question. They will not think about your questions because they know once they start thinking to get the answer, you will pick a fast thinker. So they will have no time to be picked to share their answers. So in the future, they will not bother themselves to think about the answer or to be engaged. So you will lose many students in your classroom. That's why it's crucial to allow enough thinking times that's suitable for all students in your class. Okay, now let me move to number 8, which is grading your language. As a teacher, you should grade your language. What do you think I mean by grading your language? Can you tell me in the chat box? How can we grade our language? As teachers, make it appropriate, make it simple. Okay, good. Water it down. Keep in mind the level of students. Oh, lovely, lovely ideas. Yes, we need to adjust our linguistic level to our students' linguistic level. We're not showing off our linguistic level. No, we're just giving our students what they can grasp, what they can understand. And we need to use a lot of visuals and facial expressions and body language to make our language easy and accessible for our students. Okay. In contrast, if we don't grade our language, what do you think that our students would feel? How would they would feel if we don't grade our language? Confusion. They will lose focus. They will lose purpose. Lovely. They won't understand what you're, yeah, they will feel bored, anxious, so it's not useful. All of these words are not useful within the classroom. They will not help you achieve your objectives. In order to achieve your objectives and to include and engage all your students, you need to grade your language and adjust it to your students' level. Okay. Number 9, which is very, very, very important for the flow of the classroom. Let's see what number 9 says. Teach your students to use hand signals. I need to stop sharing here. What do I mean by hand signals? Okay, these are humans. Students are humans. So maybe we're presenting something related to English, to the target language, but they need to take permission to do something like drinking water or going to the toilet or asking a question. So instead of giving them the chance to say teacher or I want to do blah, 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 this interrupts the flow of the class. This makes you lose your students. So they can express their needs using their hand, one hand, while the class flow is going. Like, for example, you can teach them. If you want to go to the toilet, for example, just all you need to do is to show me this finger, for example. Just raise it and don't say anything. So in this way, you will keep the flow of the class going and you can grant this student in particular a permission without even talking, right? So tell me guys in the chat box, do you follow this rule or this technique in your classroom, which is teaching hand signals or body language? Yes, as somebody said in the chat box. Yes, yes, lovely. Yeah, this is Newton. Okay, yeah. So if you try this, you will never regret because especially if you're teaching kids, kids can't stop talking. If they need to do something, they just spit it out. So give them a way to tell you what they want without even talking and without interruption. Hand signals are really important, will help you keep your class smooth. Okay. Here, we're moving to a new part in our presentation, which is the kinds of disruptive students. Okay, why do you think, before I show you some kinds of disruptive students, why do you think I started with the tips or the strategies of classroom management first, and then I'll show you the kinds of disruptive students? Why do you think this order in the presentation? Can you tell me in the chat box? What do you think? Why I started with the strategies or the techniques or the tips, and then I'll show you the disruptive students and how to deal with them. Warmer up. If they have rules, they don't disrupt. Lovely. I love this. Okay, to show the practical application of the tips. Yeah, valid. So that we can, I'm sorry, missed this, especially because I'm in English. Okay, to control class, to avoid disruption, to start with positive. Yeah. Actually, I started with the solution, and then I'll show you the problem. The solution is the techniques or the tips that we covered so far. And this is the problem, which is the disruption inside your classroom. So we started with the solution, okay? And now we will see the problem so that we don't worry about the solution. We know the solution before we even know the problem. Kinds of disruptive students, okay? These are the most common types of disruptive students. The first type is called talk hunts. What do you think these students do? From the name, you can guess talk hunts. Yeah, every problem has a solution. That's correct. So talk over everyone. Lovely. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Jazz. Okay. Yeah. Talk hunts are students who like to talk over others and interrupt others, the teacher, and also their peers. Okay. So I will not tell you the solution for this student, the talk hug, because we mentioned all the solutions first. You can use all the tips that we mentioned earlier. Setting the rules, inviting the students to be part of these rules, uh, grading your language. All these things help to control the talk hugs activity inside the classroom. Okay. The second type of disruptive students is called grippers. What do you think these students do? Okay. I'm talking about grippers now. This is another kind of disruptive students. Actually, grippers are students, yeah, lovely. Yeah, somebody said it. Saktawi, yeah. These are students, lovely Saktawi, and many people said it, mashallah, yeah. Grippers are students who like to complain a lot. They complain from everything, every negative thing around them. They may complain from the teacher, their peers, the lighting system, the projector, the paper, the pencil, anything. Of course, how to overcome their disruption? I will not say how, because we mentioned how earlier. Especially engage them in fun activities. Remember the word fun, okay? Because if the class is fun, they will find no time to complain. They will have fun in the classroom. Okay. The third kind is resenters. What do you think resenters are like? The class size plays a role, yes, but the techniques that we mentioned earlier can help you manage. So, resenters are students who have like a negative attitude towards their peers or towards the teacher. They don't like the teacher or they don't like their peers. It's like hatred, okay? And this kind of students need to be engaged in fun activities. They need to be approached privately. And if they don't respond properly, so they need to be sent to the student counselor to have like a private conversation to know the reason for their negative feelings. Okay. Next, experts. Experts are students who know a lot about what's being taught. Can these students be disruptive? How? Can you tell me how they can be disruptive? In the chat box, I'm waiting. How can the students who know a lot about the lessons? Yeah, thank you. Yes, they can get bored. They are quick, talking too much. Yeah, shouting answers. Yeah, maybe. And most of all, the most serious thing here is that they're not motivated to participate or to pay attention because they know everything that's being said. So, in addition to what we mentioned earlier, you need to include some like challenging tasks for these students. Okay, and also assign them to help the others, to be group leaders. Okay, so that they have the motivation to be engaged in the class because they know a lot, as we said. The next type after experts, know-it-alls. What's the difference between know-it-alls and experts? Experts, we said they know a lot about what's being taught. Yes, thank you, Umayma Wali. Yes, they pretend to know everything. They don't know, actually. The know-it-alls, they pretend to have full knowledge about what's being taught. Not only this, they try to overcorrect their peers, even if their correction is not correct. Okay, here, setting up the rules, making them a habit, and practicing social pressure is valid here. Ask the other students to remind the know-it-alls with your rules that you set earlier. Okay? The next type is quite serious. You have to be aware of these hecklers. What do I mean by hecklers? Hecklers. Shouting at, okay, not not really. Hecklers are students who are sarcastic, who make fun of their peers and may make fun of the teacher. Okay, again, the techniques and the tips that we mentioned, they're not aggressive, they're actually sarcastic, they make fun of everything. So we need to make use of setting the rules, making them habits, and practicing social pressure, and approaching these students privately and talking to them in a strict but respectful way. Okay? And finally, the quiet ones. How can quiet ones be disruptive? Can you tell me? In the chat box, quiet students. How can they be disruptive in your classroom? The quiet students. They divert the topic through sarcasm that, yeah, you're talking about hecklers. Ask them questions. Are feeling confident. They are not responding and sleeping. Yeah. Not participation. They don't talk. Yeah. Yes, that's correct. They're not motivated to participate. They're not motivated to work, to learn. So the key element for all these types of disruptive students is engagement. You have to engage all these disruptive students in fun activities, motivate them, and keep the environment safe. So it's all about three words. We don't forget, after all. Three words. Three words. Can you remember the three words? If you can remember them, just let me see them in the chat box, please. Motivation, yeah, excellent. Jazz. Motivation, fun. We need one more. Motivation, fun. Motivation, fun. Yeah, safe. Thank you. Yes. Make your classroom motivating, safe, and fun. If you guarantee that your students, these three elements, your students will guarantee you a well-managed classroom. Okay. So I have now a golden tip for all of you, for myself too. we shouldn't take it personally with any disruptive student. It's not about you as a teacher or a person. This is the human nature. People never give their full attention without motivating and engaging them. So don't let the disruptive attitude of some students affect you psychologically, let's say, because it's not about you. You need to think rather how to include and engage them. And doing this is not difficult, but it's not easy. It takes time to make these things like a habit in your classroom. Now, I'd like to say thank you for listening and not only listening, participating. You said everything in the chat box, mashallah. And you can find me on LinkedIn. This is my page, Tarek Abdulrahman. Feel free to reach me. And now it's time for questions if you have any. Joe, I'm done.
Hi, that was wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. And I love the way that even though we've got people all over the world, it's quite therapeutic talking about these issues, right? Because I think a lot of us recognize those different types of disruptions and things, and immediately in the chat people go, "Oh yeah, I know what that person does." So it's great. I feel like we're doing group therapy here a bit because
we all face these disruptions,
yeah.
disruptive students in the classroom, but it's okay. We can deal with them. We can include them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we've got lots of questions. Let's see how many we can get through before we have to finish. So we've got question about age. Okay, because you mentioned kind of different age groups that you would use this with. How do you grab attention in senior classes with older, so like older teenagers?
Yeah, let me say that the attention grabbers work for all ages, from the young ages, like the kids, till teenagers and even adults. So they are attractive, they have mutual roles to do, they're fun, so they work with all ages, the attention grabbers that we mentioned.
Okay, okay. So would you use some maybe work better with primary, right? Kind of 1, 2, 3, look at me, those sorts of
Yeah, you can adjust the utterances, yes, according to the age. That's correct.
Yeah, right. Okay. But yeah, thinking about just because they're older, it doesn't mean that they don't need some kind of
fun
tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good to have a variety like the ones that you suggested because students evolve, right?
Yeah. There are much more, Joe, and it's easy to get them online. Just type attention grabbers for classroom purposes. You can, if you're a passionate teacher, you can tell them who loves you. They respond, you do. This is a lovely classroom.
Yeah, so you can find all sorts of tips. That's a good one. And what would you call them? Attention grabbers.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can search for different ages. Brilliant. What about, this is a good question from Tesfaye. What about body language? For example, do you look at a student who's misbehaving? Do you go close to them? What do you do?
Body language is really important in all situations, not only the disruptive students. When we teach, we need to use the body language to illustrate the words that we are saying. Yes, if somebody's misbehaving, you can use the body language. Just eye contact may be enough without interrupting the classroom. Yes, the body language is a major element inside the classroom.
Okay. And would you say these tips are applicable in an adult classroom? Question from Elizabeth.
All of these tips are valid for all ages. Just try them. Don't say that they're adults, they don't need to be treated in this fun way. They need this fun element inside the class atmosphere to be engaged because, learning and teaching is not that easy. It's you need like brain breakers,
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of which, I've just realized you're still sharing your slides. You can stop sharing your slides now that people can see our Our faces, yeah. Speaking of
Okay.
having a break and variety.
Body language.
Yeah. Another interesting question. There's so many questions, but this is a really useful topic and one that is really important to people. Good question from Kada. Will using the native language help in productive classroom management? What do you think about that?
Using the native language or the mother tongue has nothing to do with the classroom management. It has some 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 uses in teaching and delivering the message while teaching, but classroom management, you don't have to resort to the mother tongue. You can give them the message that you want to deliver using the target language. This is a totally different story.
Okay, that's interesting. So you might decide to use it or not, depending on the context.
Yeah,
But it doesn't necessarily, if it's to do with discipline or bad behavior, or
yeah, that's correct.
necessarily have to be.
We can resort to the mother tongue if you're to show some error analysis or something that you have in your language, but that's not in English. So you compare between the two languages, but not management, no.
Okay, interesting. Let's have a look. We've got lots of questions here coming in. So there's so many tips that you shared in your toolkit, so many different things. Najashi says, what is the most effective classroom management in use, since all techniques have their drawbacks? Do you have any favorites that you think this, if you remember one thing or three things from this webinar, remember this? What are your favorite techniques?
Let me say that this is like a package. You can't include one and leave one. In order to make your classroom safe, motivating, and fun, as we said, you have to make use of all the tips that we just mentioned today. So I can't neglect any of them.
Right. So it's having them, or knowing when to use them, and having a whole variety.
I use all of them. I use all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So there's an interesting comment with, it's partly a question from Rajesh. So students are disruptive, or some students who are disruptive seemingly lack empathy or mindfulness. Do you agree with that, first of all?
Yeah. Some students show like disruptive attitude in the classroom just to take or to grab your attention or to be treated in a special way, which is okay. Give them the treatment that they need, treat them in a kind way, include them. This is what they need, yes. This kind of students is there, yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you model it and you foster those characteristics. Okay, that relates to a question we have from Lisa on Facebook, who says, some experts think praising good behavior can motivate disruptive ones to behave well. Do you agree with that?
Totally agree with that. The social pressure plays a major role in the management. So you have to establish a culture in your classroom. You have to include all your students so that if one student behaves in a bad way, disrupts the class, so you don't react. You don't have to react. You have just to ask the other students to remind this person of the rule that he just violated. This is called social pressure, without bullying, without anything. Just remind him with the rule that he violated. This works.
Yeah, okay. I remember when I was training as a teacher, they said catch them being good. So it's finding, because often you're focused on the ones that are not doing what you want. But it's giving them that positive attention and feedback, right? Yeah, this is brilliant. This is exactly what we want. Okay. I just saw another interesting question. Let me find where it was. From Shahzad. Do you have any special recommendation for a teacher who's going to teach at school for the first time? I'm really stressed.
Yes, I have. Don't be stressed at all. Enjoy enjoy teaching. Teaching is, yeah, exhausting, that's true, but it's enjoyable. If you enjoy it, you will bear the exhaustion that you face. And please make use of the tips that we show you today.
Right, okay, okay, yeah. I like the way in your session you gave really practical things that people can take away and try, right? Because often people say, well, create a positive atmosphere in your class or foster respect, and you think, but how
How?
exactly do I
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that that was really practical. Okay, another question about a quiet student. So I have a quiet student. She doesn't like to talk in front of others, but she's smart. She does her tasks wonderfully, except speaking, of course. She likes to respond in writing. How to make her talk in front of others? What would you say to that?
Okay, good. Competition is really effective here between groups, and you can assign her the role of being a group leader or a speaker in this group, so she knows that she needs to be prepared within her group, and then she will be the speaker. So step by step, she will have more like courage to go in front of the classroom and present her work. And the most important thing of all is the positive feedback. You have to show her that she did a great work after she presents, even if her presentation for the first time is not that good because she's afraid or confused or something.
Okay, so I like the emphasis you put there on preparation. So,
Yes. Yeah,
like speaking first in small groups.
don't, if you ask her to come and talk at once, it's like attacking her. This is
Mm,
terrifying for her. So give her and her group a time to prepare, to maybe to write down notes, and then she's prepared to be a speaker.
yeah, yeah. And help for the rest of the group. That's really nice, isn't it? Actually, when they
Yeah,
prepare together or they practice with a
yeah,
partner and
yeah.
group, and then they speak kind of in front of the class or for you. Okay, that's great. Let's see what else we've got. The questions are still coming in. Oh, okay. Hi, Tarek. What was your most difficult encounter with a disruptive student? Can you think of an example of a student that was particularly difficult, and can you tell us about how you handled it?
Lots and lots of them. I remember a student. I got my supervisor to visit my class, and he entered the class. So this student was really disruptive. He stood up, he got out like um, a teapot and poured some tea and gave the supervisor to drink. So he dropped in the whole class. But I thanked him for doing so, for being hospitable. But we can like give him the tea after the class maybe, so that we can show him the work that we do. So this student went back to his place and worked with us. So we don't have to shout and yell at them all the time.
Yeah,
We have to contain them.
right, right, yes. And sometimes it's a case of channeling that energy in a different direction, right?
Yeah, yeah. I thanked him, believe it or not.
You thanked him.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's positive behavior management in
Yeah,
action.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That reminds me of once that when I was coordinator and it was break time and I smelt the smell of cheese and toast in the corridor, toasted bread. And I thought, this is very strange. This is not what I want to be smelling right now. And I found some students in the classroom actually with a toasty maker,
Oh.
creating toasted sandwiches, which obviously was completely against the rules and a risk from a kind of health and safety point of view. But I must admit, I was quite impressed by how enterprising they were creating these
Uh-huh.
toasted sandwiches. They kind of mini business they were running there.
The question here, did they give you a sandwich or not?
They did give me a sandwich. I would have taken a sandwich. It smelled very good, but I had to
Yeah,
put on my disapproving
yeah,
face and take them out. And you know, 'cause that's another thing, isn't it? You have to look like it's serious,
yeah, of course, yes.
and take things seriously. But privately, I was kind of impressed. The initiative. Okay, we've got a question here about concentration. How should we motivate the students with low concentration?
Thank you for the question. That's a very important question. Remember the kinetic activities that we talked about. These activities include all types of students. Remember the balloon that I said I put the questions inside. I don't have free time to do so, but this is too engaging. I saw that it's engaging every and each student in the classroom. The low achievers, the high achievers, the fast thinkers, the slow thinkers. So the key thing here is the kinetic activities, especially with kids. So keep this in mind.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wise words. Okay. How would you deal with a learner who refuses to respond to any of these approaches? Or I suppose that question is about what do you do
Tips.
to take it to the next level when the first thing you
Yeah,
try doesn't work?
yeah. This is a special case. If he doesn't work, if he doesn't comply with all these rules, with all these techniques, with the social pressure of his peers, so it's not your issue as a teacher. The student counselor here is to help this student or to contact his parents. Maybe he has an issue at home that needs to be addressed. So
Okay. That's a good tip as well. So don't deal with it on your own. Don't be afraid to talk to the coordinator,
yeah.
involve other people. Okay. So what would you first talk to that student maybe on their own for a moment after
Of
class?
course, we talked about this, approaching the student privately and talking to him and trying to
Yeah.
engage him. But sometimes he's not. I remember last year. Last year, I had a student in a classroom like this. He didn't comply with any technique. I didn't, before even I took any step, the other, here, the social pressure I'm talking about. The other students told me in front of him, we want to go to this student counselor and tell him we can't include the class because of this student. From this moment, I told him, no, he will change. I promise you, he will change. And from this moment, he changed. Yes, he felt embarrassed because even his peers can't tolerate what he's doing. So he
Wow.
changed.
Wow. And what did you say to him to get him to change?
Nothing. This
How did he
situation,
know? But he knew
nothing.
that had happened, right?
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
happen. They would go to the school counselor and complain from him.
Yeah. Yeah. So that it shows the importance of keeping the rest of the class on side and
That's
praising
it.
positive.
That's
Yeah,
it.
recognizing that
That's
they're doing
yeah.
it right.
If
Yeah.
they are having fun, the key here
Yeah.
is the fun element. If they are having fun, they won't enjoy your class, so they don't want any disruption. The students themselves. So take care of this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for from your session, but thank you so much. It's been so interesting. So many questions, and I feel like this is a topic that we could talk about all day, that people are finding this really, really useful, and they have lots of their own personal experiences of this. So thank you so much, Tarek. Thank you, Anne, who's helping with moderation, and Lou on Facebook. And we're going to take a short 15-minute break now, and I'll see you shortly for the next session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks again, Tarek.
Bye.